Snapdragon 8 Elite can easily push 60 FPS in Cyberpunk 2077, but on the low settings present, small gameplay clip shows no ray tracing enabled. The absence of native AAA games on Android is rather disappointing because the Snapdragon 8 Elite is an excellent example of how the hardware is more than ready to bring a quality experience to smaller devices, and it is just a matter of convincing developers to make the required effort. After all, running Cyberpunk 2077, even on the low settings, is no small feat, and a new video shows that a stable 60 FPS can be achieved when running the visually incredible title. Cyberpunk 2077 managed 60 FPS as the Snapdragon 8 Elite device was running the game at 720p. Smaller screens will not impact details greatly. A gameplay video that is just over a minute long was shared by @cozy_ss, revealing that Cyberpunk 2077 can maintain a 60 FPS frame rate with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. The frame rate counter is visible, and what is impressive about this performance run is that there are no dropped frames, and the gameplay footage shows a combat sequence, which is typically more taxing on the hardware. Then again, the Snapdragon 8 Elite was previously shown to be faster than the AMD Radeon 780M running in the Asus ROG Ally N3 Mark Steel Nomad Lite, so we would expect the chipset to deliver some notable performance in Cyberpunk 2077. However, to achieve a 60 FPS frame rate target, the visual settings preset had to be set to low, with the resolution being 1280 by 720. While some might argue that the rendered resolution is on the lower side, smaller screens will typically not display the same visual quality degradation because the pixels are spaced very closely with one another, so noticing those differences should be difficult if you do not possess an eagle eye. As for how Cyberpunk 2077 managed to run successfully on the Snapdragon 8 Elite without a native Android app, it is thanks to emulation software called Game Fusion. The same program helped the Snapdragon 8 Elite run A Plague Tale: Innocence, with the chipset obtaining more than double the frame rate of its predecessor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. If you watch the footage a few times, you will notice that Cyberpunk 2077, running on the Snapdragon 8 Elite, does not have ray tracing enabled for obvious reasons. For running the eye candy path tracing, CD Projekt Red and NVIDIA recommend an RTX 4000 series GPU. Sure, the Snapdragon 8 Elite supports hardware accelerated ray tracing, but there are countless examples that show a huge performance drop when enabling these features. Regardless, running an AAA game on a smartphone would never have been thought possible a few years ago, which means that CD Projekt Red developers and others should get serious about bringing their games to the Snapdragon 8 Elite platform.